President Trump repeatedly said during the campaign that he was going to eliminate taxes on Social Security. When it didn't happen, a lot of people were upset. And frankly, some of them were confused because they really thought this was going to happen. So today, I'm going to break down why the campaign promised to eliminate taxes on Social Security didn't make it into the final law that was just signed. So we can put this behind us and we can move on to the pieces of this law that's going to be very, very helpful for retirees. Now, to add to this, there's been quite a bit of confusion since President Trump signed the new law. I've seen some articles where they are reporting that benefits are now tax free. And I've even seen this insinuation from some official sources. So, for example, a press release from the Social Security Administration opens by saying, the bill ensures that nearly 90% of Social Security beneficiaries will no longer pay federal income taxes on their benefit. Now, that could be taken either way, right? That's not direct. But then a press release from the White House goes much further. It says no tax on Social Security is a reality in the One Big Beautiful Bill. Now, my first reaction when I saw that headline was that the language they chose is pretty misleading. It seems to me that they made a promise to eliminate taxes on Social Security. They realized that it wasn't going to happen, and now they're hoping that some people won't notice the difference, right? So here's what happened. I know that some people are upset, but this wasn't a lie or a broken promise in the usual sense. It had everything to do with the legislative process used to pass the bill. So, to get this legislation through Congress, lawmakers used a method called budget reconciliation. Now, this process, which was created under the Congressional Budget Act of 1974, allows the Senate to pass certain budget related bills with a simple majority. And in this case, that means just 51 votes instead of the usual 60 vote threshold that's needed to overcome a filibuster. Now, if the vote is tied at 50-50, the vice president can step in and cast the deciding vote, as he did for this law. But while reconciliation is a powerful tool that allows a political party to move their agenda through the process, it does come with some very strict limitations. And one of the most important is the Byrd Rule. And this rule says that any provision in a reconciliation bill cannot increase the deficit beyond a 10-year window. And then there's another big piece that I think probably matters even more. The 1974 Budget Act that allows the reconciliation process specifically prohibits using it to make changes to the Social Security program. That means that lawmakers couldn't simply repeal taxes on Social Security using this method even if they wanted to. It was off limits under the rules of the process because Social Security is considered mandatory spending. And that mandatory spending means that it's governed by permanent authorizing laws. And if Congress wants to change how Social Security is taxed or even how the program is structured, they have to go outside of the reconciliation process and they have to amend those underlying laws. And doing that is going to require a much broader legislative effort. And in most cases, a 60 vote majority is going to be required. So even though the campaign messaging made it sound like Social Security taxes would be eliminated, the reality is that this kind of change could not be made through the process they used to pass the bill. And that's why, despite the headlines, the actual tax rules for Social Security have stayed exactly the same. Now, ultimately, the new law decreases your total taxable income, and it's not targeting any specific type of income. So, while Social Security may in fact end up being tax free for some people, it's a side effect. of a broader tax change, not a direct repeal of Social Security taxation. But here's the thing. Just because the headlines were exaggerated or maybe even flat out misleading, that does not mean this law lacks real value for retirees. In fact, I think it offers a lot of meaningful tax relief, especially for the middle class. And coming up soon, I'm going to have a video that covers exactly how this will impact your retirement tax bill. And if you don't want to miss that, be sure and hit that subscribe button before you leave. Thanks for watching.